In today's video, I'm going to show you how to create a blog post template in Divi 5. So this is the final result of what we'll be designing from scratch. Now, I know for some of you, this may look very basic, but we are going to be using the latest features that Divi released, and we're going to be applying it onto this template. So as you can see, it pretty much has everything that's needed on a blog post template, and you even have a stylized submit area here if people want to send comments. So I'll show you again how to create this as well. Now, out of the box, when you first start using Divi and you add your very first blog post, things are going to look like this. Now, I'm sure you can agree with me that this doesn't look very exciting. And if you are designing a website for a client, I mean, this definitely is not acceptable. So we want our designs to look really nice, something pretty much like this, but it doesn't have to be like this. But the skills you're going to learn are going to really give you creative ideas of how you can lay out your blog posts. Now, if you haven't yet signed up to become a Divi community member, head over to diviuniversity.com. This is a community of Divi users. Here we talk about Divi, share tutorials, share ideas, and so on. So be a part of this if you are a Divi user. And also, if you find my work very useful, please go ahead and support by buying me a coffee over here on the top right. And you can choose how many coffees, of course, you want to buy. As you can see, there's 1, 2, 3, and also you can add a custom amount. All right, so without wasting a lot of time, let's dive in and let's get started. All right, so the first thing you're going to do is to head over here to our main dashboard area. We come all the way down here to, where are we? We need to go to posts because we need to add a post. So let's go ahead and do that by clicking over here. Great. The next thing we're going to do is to say, okay, we're going to call this Mac post. How about that? Now, when it comes to entering your content, and this is unique to blog posts, it's very, very important you don't open the Divi builder, okay? Otherwise, you're going to mess things up. You want to come over here to your default editor, okay? Once you do that, you go in and then you paste your content like that. And then over here now, you go to post. This is where you set your featured image. Let's go ahead and do that. Now, I think I have quite a few featured images here. Let me go ahead and choose this one. Okay, so that's going to be my featured image. I'm now going to say set featured image. Over here, you can add it to a category. So let's say this is going to be category B. Okay, now let's hit publish. Now you're going to notice that when I click here on view post, it is going to look like this, but that's not what we want really. We want a much better layout, okay? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna leave this open so we can compare the before and after. All right, so now I'm going to go back in here, but I'm going to open a new tab so I can work from a brand new tab. All right, so what we need to do next is to now come over here to Divi, and then we're going to go to theme builder. Okay, it's very important we go to the theme builder. Next, we want now to create a brand new template for our blog post. So I'm going to come over here, click on this plus button, and then I'm going to say build new template. Next, we're going to say all posts. Now notice I haven't gone to blog because this is a page. It needs to be all posts, which means the structure of all my blog posts on my website are going to look the same. And I will show you how this is going to look as well. All right, so now I can click on create template. And by the way, I have a Divi 5 course. If you want to master Divi 5, as you know, this is a brand new version of Divi. It's totally different to how things were in Divi 4. This course is a course that is going to get you up and running super fast to master Divi 5. Now, this course normally goes for $45. And right now, if you buy it today, you're going to get it for $27. The link to that will be in the video description. All right, let's go ahead now and click on add custom body. Now this is where we're going to pretty much add everything, okay? We're going to say build custom body. All right, so the very first thing we're going to need is the what? The header area. So we're going to start off by clicking here on this plus button, okay? We're going to add a single column and we're going to add a group, okay? In this group, we're going to add text, and we're going to duplicate this again. Okay, so we're going to use these two blocks of text. Next, we are now going to make sure that this text translates to what we want. So I want this very first text here to be dynamic. So I'm going to come over here to insert dynamic content. Okay, it's very important we do that. Now that I've clicked on that, what I need is to show the post categories. So I'm going to click here on post categories. Okay, great. So now that I have the post categories, I can decide where I'm going to, what I'm going to do with it. Do I want to make it bold? Do I want to make it pretty much, you can do whatever you want. So here I'm going to make it bold because I want to just to stand out a little bit. Okay, so we're going to say bold. For the size, I'm going to say 1 rem, like that. Okay, great. So now that I have my posts categories, next I'm going to come over here to the next set of text. Oops. There we go. All right. So this now needs to be the blog. The date the blog was published on. So again, in fact, let's make sure we've selected it. There we go. Now I'm going to come over here again and say insert dynamic content. I'm going to say post publish date. Okay. Now this is where things get a bit exciting because as you can see here, it just shows the date, August the 4th, 2025. Now what we need here is to say published on. Okay. It's important we do this, published on, colon, and then space. Okay, so now this makes sense. It says now published on and then the date. Okay, now once we've done that, it's fine. We can click on apply. Now we can decide if you want to make it bold, but for this, I'm going to leave it as it is because it's not as important. So I'm going to go over to text here and set this to 1 rem as well. Now you may be wondering, okay, why am I using 1 rem? Why am I not using the SiteKrafter framework? That is because at the moment, the SiteKrafter framework is not working with Divi 5 in the Divi builder, because Divi builder still has quite a lot of bugs. Even trying to export a layout as we speak right now, there's still a bit of a problem. But of course, these are the sort of things that will be fixed in the future. All right, so now that I've set my color here to white, I'm going to close out of here, and then it's time now to just work now on our background. So for our background, the very first thing I want to do is to add my background image. So I'm going to come over here to background. Okay. For my image, I'm going to click here on this third tab. Click on this icon here. Now, I was very tempted to come over here and click on add background image. If you do that, it won't work. You need to come over here. Okay. Click on that and then say featured image. Okay, now we have a hint of what the featured image is going to look like. The next step now is to head over to design. Now remember, our layout here is using Flexbox. So everything here is justified to the top. I want everything to come to the bottom. Okay, now I know we haven't seen any change here. That's because the height of my section here is not, big enough. All right, so over here, I'm going to scroll down to sizing. Now, what I need from this sizing is the height. So for my height here, I'm going to set it to, I'm just thinking here, what could it be? Okay, let's try 40 VH. There we go. So, okay, that's okay. I can set it, I can maybe increase it to 46. This is going to be your choice. Now, we're not done yet here. We still have to do quite a bit of work. So while we're here in this section, I'm just going to click, make sure I've clicked here on this section. I'm going to come back over here to my background. So here is where I want to add a gradient. Okay, I'm going to click here. For my gradient, I'm going to click on this plus button. So we don't see it yet. That is because we need to place the gradient above the background image like that. Okay. So for this now to really, really work and show our design, we need to add some transparencies. So first of all, I want to change my colors. I'm going to come to this first color here and I want it to be black. Okay. But I'm going to add a bit of transparency. So let's go with, let's say 90. Okay. That's going to be my transparency there. Next, I'm going to click here on the second color. Now this is where we're going to go all the way down to about 10%. There we go. 10%. How's that? So with this now, this is where you can go in and tweak this however you want just to make sure you've dialed it correctly, okay, the way you want. So I'm going to leave this as it is right now and then click on save. Finally, I'm going to come over here to my group settings, design, layout, and I want this side by side. So now we're using Flexbox to make sure everything is aligned correctly. All right, so now that I have this all set, I can now hit save. Okay. Next, I'm going to come over here now. Now, I don't want to mess around with this because this was the first layout out of the box that Divi comes with. So I want to go to this layout that we did earlier on. I'm going to refresh this so I can see a before and after. Now, it's important that right now you haven't seen any changes, and you might be thinking, well, but Mac, we've designed this hero area. Why isn't it working? Well, you first of all need to save, exit, save changes. And then this when you can come over here and refresh. There you go. So now we see everything is working fine. This is our featured image. It's got our category here. It also has our publish date. Okay, so far so good. Let's continue on with our design. So back over here, I'm going to go back to all posts. In fact, you know what? I am going to just drag this and bring it all the way to the top here because I don't want to keep looking for it every time I'm designing. All right, so I'm going to go to my custom body here, okay, from on all posts. And it's time now to add another section, okay? So I'm going to click here on equal columns. Now for this section here, again, should I use a group? Yeah, we might as well, okay? I'm going to use a group. So the first thing I'm going to add in here is a heading, okay? Now for this heading, I might as well make my changes to it. I want this to be the title of my blog. So I'm going to come over here to dynamic, and then I'm going to say post or archive title, just like that. Great. Now let's add another module, and this time this is going to be a post content. There we go. So now we have our post content here. Now let's hit save and take a look and see what this looks like so far. Okay. So I'm going to refresh. Look at that. So now it's showing the content of our blog. But as you can see here, this is way too long. Okay, this is not recommended in design. So we want to make sure we change this. So we might as well fix it right now. So the first thing we want to do is just to make sure that my heading here is centered. I mean, that's what I prefer. Let's go to our heading here and center it. Okay, now over here on my blog content, I want to go to design and sizing. Okay, over here on the sizing, on the width that is recommended for reading on a page is between 60 and 70 characters. So I'm going to go with 70 ch. That's going to be my width. Now you see it's all the way to the left here. All I need to do now is to fix the alignment and make sure it's centered and then hit save. Now sometimes it looks really, really small and you might need to just do a few tweaks. Now let's refresh this. Okay. This is fine. I mean, it can work, okay. But if you want to increase it a little bit, you can go maybe to about 80. Okay, but I wouldn't go above 80 characters, okay? Just make sure you are within that sort of range. Now that I have this, I can now start adding even more content, okay? So I would like to add my next button here. So I'm going to go in. How do I do this? Okay, let's add a divider. Okay, so with this divider now, we are going to change the color. I don't like the color of the divider here, so I'm going to go to line, go to color. I'm going to start off with black, and then I'm just going to drag all the way down to about 10%. Sometimes I like using percentages because I can just dial it in. It doesn't require me to memorize colors all the time. But of course, it's up to you how you're going to do it. Next, we're going to go to sizing. And this is where you can choose how you want it to be. I mean, if you want it to be 80 characters, for example, so that it matches what we have here, you can just make it 80 characters and then make sure that it's centered. Okay, that is very, very important. I'm going to hit save. And I want to do a quick preview here and see what it looks like. Okay, it looks okay. There we go. There's our line. So it looks Yeah, it looks okay, right? Now let's continue on with our design. We've added our line here. We're going to click again on this plus button if I can select it. Oops. There we go. All right. So this time, I forgot what it's called. Let me just look for it. You know those buttons, the next, next, next? What are they called? Pagination. There we go. Right. So for our pagination here, you can see it says theme builder layout. I'm now going to go in and stylize this a little bit. Okay. So let's start off by the size. So we're going to go to sizing, width. Let's do 80 characters as well so that it matches this. I'm not sure if that's going to work. Okay, let's center it. All right. So now I'm going to go into this and add a background color. So usually you want to choose a color that is already in your color palette. Okay, it's very, very important that you do that. It just makes things easier. So now that I've added my color here, you can see it's in the background. I need to further stylize this by coming over here. And then I'm just going to go and choose spacing. So for the padding, I'm going to set this to, I'm going to start off with 1 rem. Okay, let's see what it looks like on the top and the bottom. Okay, that looks okay. And then for the left and right, I'm going to say 2 rem. So now I have my button here. If I need to, I can go in and add my rounded corners, but I'm not going to bother with that. All right, so now when it comes to my links text, I'm going to choose my color and I'm going to set it to white because that way it looks much better on the on that blue background. When it comes to the size, I think the size is fine. I'm going to leave it as it is and then hit save. Okay, so we're progressing really well here. Let's refresh it and see what it looks like. Wow, look at that. Okay, so we have our text here. We also have our button here. So if I click, look at that. All my blog posts are going to be pretty much, you know, the same style. Okay, so things are not aligned here. You see that? I need to fix that. Or maybe it's the caching. Sometimes the caching really messes things up, you know. Let's take a look. Okay, let's fix this. All right, so we're going to come back over here and make sure we go to sizing because sometimes this is where we need to center it. Okay, there we go. Okay, now it's centered. Let's try this one here. Design, sizing, and yeah, it's centered. So what's the problem? What's the problem with this thing? Anyway, let's continue on. So now that we have this, what else do we need? What else do we need? This now is going to be a new section. Okay, so I'm going to click here on this plus button and then equal columns. So for these columns here, I'm going to have, should I have a group? No. Let's have our normal text here. Okay, text module. And then after the text module, I am going to have, I want the related posts, you know. So let's have our blog. Okay, there we go. So now we have our blog. Now I could go in and create a loop if I want to really stylize this and make it look a certain way. But, you know, it's up to you how you're going to, you know, have it. So I'm going to say post for current page. And this now is going to be my related content, related posts. Okay, related posts. I'm going to make sure it's bold. Highlight it. There we go. All right, I'm going to come in and change it in a moment because I need to go in and add a background color. Now, you notice that I can't just leave it white because I need to create a separation between the sections. So this is a really good way of making sure that things that are related are grouped together. Okay, so now let's hit save. Now let's refresh. Okay, I don't know why it's saying no results found. It could be that if I hit save here, I need to exit, save one more time. Right, so let's go back in. Okay, did you see this? This is very, very annoying. Okay, it's fine here. All right, it might be a caching problem, so I'm going to reset everything. Okay, let's reset. Right, okay, so let's go back in here and find out why these posts are not showing. So we're going to go in and we're going to say current posts. We're going to set this to 4. Okay. And max length, we're going to set this to 120. I'm not bothered about the offsets. And what else do I need here? Elements. Featured image is fine. I think everything is okay here. Show pagination is fine. Okay, the content is fine. Okay, I think the that current page could be what's causing the problem. All right, so let's save this and then refresh. There we go. Okay, now it's showing. But it's showing everything, okay? But anyway, so far so good. We have our layout now. The next part is the comments area. So we are going to come back and tweak this in a moment. Right, there we go. So we're going to go equal columns. And in here is just the comments. So I'm going to select my comments. And ideally, I want this to be a really dark background because this is the last part on my design, okay? So I want to have it like that, really, really dark. And then I'm going to go into my module now. All right, so let's start off by going into design sizing. So no, spacing. Because in the spacing here, we can actually add some padding, and I'm going to go with 2 rem. Now, this is something that I usually like doing as I'm designing because I really like to stylize it to make it look really, really nice. So with this now, I'm going to go back to my content and then we're going to go to background. So what I usually do if I'm designing using colors, using transparency, I first start off with white and then I add my transparency. Now you see, as I'm adding my transparency here, it's going to give me a bit of a separation between my main background. In fact, I'll go to 10%. My main background and this this background right here. Okay. All right. So I may even go a bit more because it has to be very subtle. Okay, like that. All right. So now that we have this, let me see. We need to now add some rounded corners. I'm going to come over here and let's go to border. You know, the more you design, the more you start feeling tired and you can't start finding, where you need to click. All right. So now that I have this, let's go ahead now and start customizing our colors because there's a lot that needs to be done here. So we're going to go to text and it's saying dark here. Let's change this to light. Now everything is now easier to read, which is fantastic. Next, let's head over to our fields. And what I normally like doing here on the field background color, again, similar thing. I go in and I reduce this all the way down. Very, very subtle. This time, let's go with 10%. Okay, great. I have my 10% there. My text looks great. So I don't need to go in and mess around with my text over here. So far, so good. I think that looks great. The only thing I need to do in my text here is to add a field border color, and let's go with 1. And like what we did before, we set it to white, and then we bring this all the way down. Okay, so look at that, 8%, just very, very subtle. It's very, very important. All right, so now that I have this, I think this is looking great. I can now go ahead and save. All right, so let's exit, save everything. Make sure we clear all our cache. And I'm also going to refresh and do a hard reset, actually, rather. Okay, so now that I'm on this page, let us refresh this now. There we go. So I have my category here. Do I want this centered? Perhaps maybe it might look better if it's centered. Okay, so there we go, related posts. And now look at my comments area. Isn't that cool? So let's see what happens now when I click a different one. There we go. Now it's working. You see that? Fantastic. So there's one more thing here. You may want to center this because it's looking really off and yeah, it just looks a bit weird. Okay, so let's go ahead and fix that quickly. I'm going to go back in all posts. Now, these are the sort of decisions that you need to make as you're designing. So again, we're going to use Flexbox. So we're going to come over here to our group settings, design, layout. And in our layout here, you can see everything is right at the beginning. So I'm going to bring it to the center here. And if I need to, I can just do that and center it as well. So my category now is on the top. Let's see what that looks like. I may prefer that actually. I'm going to refresh this. There we go. I think I'm going to prefer this. Okay, so the category is there, publish date, and then this is my content, my next button, related posts, and now people can comment over here. Isn't that cool? Anyway, guys, if you haven't purchased the Divi 5 course yet, it's going for $27. This is a limited time offer, and it'll teach you pretty much how to get up and running and master Divi 5. And like I said in the beginning, if you want to support my work, head over to diviuniversity.com. It's right here. And if you haven't signed up, go ahead and join the community for free. This is the Divi community. And over here on the top, you can buy me a coffee. That will definitely show your support. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one. Take care.